On my wrist, when I step up on a diamond, 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 diamonds on my wrist. When I step up on
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are live Wednesday from Phoenix, Arizona out here. This is the Freight Coach Morning Show coming to you live every single weekday, Monday through Friday from 8:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Central. Just 30-minute set here. And we're just here to break down some industry articles for you and provide a different perspective and provide some value to you guys to hopefully be able to implement today and utilize and see some difference out there in your book of business. Before we jump in, this is brought to you by my friends over at VHub. They are asset reutilization platform. And, in my opinion, you guys, it is the future of freight brokerage. Again, how do you separate yourself in a market of 18,000? You need to come to the table with something different out there. And, we're always told we're asset only. But no matter what, no shipper has ever asked me to stage a power unit on site there. It is only trailers. So take this. Look at their platform. You just check them out at vhubapp.com and see what they have out there for capacity. And you guys can legitimately look into creating a drop trailer pool to bring to some of those large enterprise shippers that want to work with other people. It's just, as brokers, we need to get creative out here. So check it out, vhubapp.com, and see what they can do for you out there. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. They're making this stuff all possible over here. They're good friends of mine over there. What's this Friday, everybody? I want you to think about this for a second. My friends over at Port TMS actually sent me a reminder of this morning. It's Good Friday this Friday. So what does that mean? Limited capacity. In the LTL market alone, YRC, FedEx, Estes, UPS, and T-Force, they got modified services. They got skeleton crews. So what does that mean? Chances are, in my experience around the holidays, you guys, there is only like the top big customers of theirs that are going to be serviced in this time. So if you're out there, if you have freight moving this holiday weekend, bring this to the table right now, you guys. Come out there, reach out to your shippers and receivers, check out what their modified hours are. Let's do that today. Let's not wait so we can better plan out our capacity. And then furthermore, if there's anything that might be picking up for you that's going to have to sit all weekend, find out where those carriers are storing that equipment. Okay, get out there, find out where it is. Find out, is it a secure yard? Is there cameras? Is there a security guard on site? Get the address, do all of that stuff. Again, this is all speaking from my experience here, you guys. We need to be proactive in these times to find out where our stuff is because we got to protect our customers' freight. All right. At the end of the day, that is what's most important. We have to protect our customers' freight. Be the change that you're looking for. And I'm going to keep reiterating that out there. And again, that LTL data is coming to my friends over at Port TMS. So I know this has been going on for a long time, but this is day 2. I'm starting this tally. This is day 2 that there are still truck parking issues in this industry. I know this has been going on for quite some time, but this is the second day I'm mentioning it, and I'm going to continue to mention it until we have seen actual legislation put in place to help our drivers find safe and secure parking out there. If you're a broker right now, talk to some of your shippers and receivers that are out there. Do they even have it? Are we asking those questions? Or furthermore, again, I'm not a lawyer, but don't give out directions when it comes down to letting them know, like, hey, there might be a truck stop in the area for you to look at and to park at for the night. Because again, safe and secure parking, if you actually talk to truck drivers, is one of the biggest issues that they have out there. Furthermore, this is also day 2 that there are still facilities in our industry that don't allow drivers to use the bathroom. I know, wild, right? Again, there's probably a lot of contributing factors that led to some of these facilities to stop doing that. But why is this still a thing? Why is this a thing? Drivers, if you want to see that change, let's see like what we can do more. And then furthermore, brokers, find out about that stuff prior. Again, we need to be looking to become a broker of choice here. Our product is our capacity. So take that into consideration. This is day 2 of parking issues and bathroom issues out there. And I'm going to continue to bring this up every single day. Like I said, every single day until there is meaningful and actual change in this industry when it comes down to that. Papa Freight, he's in the audience right now from Mount Shasta, California. Drop in your location where you guys are in the comments right now, and I'll give you guys all some shout outs. I appreciate all the continuing support. Speaking of that, first article we're going to jump into today is actually about bathrooms, and it was dropped by my friends over at Transport Topics. And again, I'm citing my sources out here. Pennsylvania legislator introduces bathroom access bill for drivers. It was brought to them by Representative Jason Silvis, who is a Republican. And it's as he puts in this interview, it's a huge issue, not just in Pennsylvania, but nationally, that these truck drivers are not permitted to use restrooms in some facilities they are picking up and dropping off at. The cool thing about Silvis is he is an actual active CDL holder. He was part of Hollywood out there as well. He was in some films out there called like I Am Legend. Apparently he was in that. But, as he says, without them, we wouldn't have a lot of things that we have in reference to truck drivers. They should be treated with respect and able to use a restroom if they need. To me, this is common sense. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, Representative Silvis. This is also a co-sponsored bill, so it's cool to see a little people on both sides of the aisle stepping up here. Also, it was co-sponsored by David Deloso. He's a Democrat out there, as well as fellow Republicans Abby Major, Greg Rothman, and Brian Smith. And this would require retail establishments, shippers, and receivers, as well as port terminals, to provide truck drivers with access to bathrooms while delivering or picking up goods during normal business hours. And then this bill has been referenced to the House Transportation Committee. Also, 4 days prior to the bill's introduction, Silvis issued a memorandum called Restroom Facilities for Truck Drivers While Picking Up or Dropping Off a Shipment. Should probably work on shortening that name, to all members of the State House of Representatives seeking support. And then again, it's like just allowing bathrooms that's out there. Jake McLeod, what's up? He's out there in Detroit. Eminem's finest, 8 Mile. What up? Cole Guile. Holy shit, man. That's a blast from the past. Out in Naples, Florida. I went to high school with Cole Guile. Good to see you out there, man. I appreciate all your guys' support in this. But again, so this bill being introduced out there onto the Senate floor, it's obviously a step in the right direction that's out there. I guess Governor Jay Inslee from Washington put something in place last year for ports. But again, it's not just the ports that this needs to happen at. I think this is just a basic human rights thing. And again, if like brokers, if you're out there and you're working with facilities that don't allow this, it's going to be very hard to cover some of this freight moving forward with a lot of this stuff. We need to be working with facilities that utilize this. And again, I see both sides of the fence. I see the counter argument to it that chances are this was brought up because of some issues that we're doing it. But I like I gotta choose my words wisely here. I like that there's legislation being put out there, but again, I'm just not the biggest fan of government overreach. I think it's kind of ridiculous that it got to the point, but it's good to see that people are stepping up and noticing that. And then furthermore, like our truck driver partners are given this opportunity, like they're being heard out there. And we can't let this stuff drown out. I think that as capacity shifts and as markets change, those little factors like that are going to play in to people's purchasing power and where they want to haul freight, what they want to do out there and everything else. And, and again, if you want to see this pass, though, just like we were talking about yesterday, call your local representatives, push this agenda. You have to get vocal about these causes, because if not, it's just going to die out. I think we all kind of have an idea how DC operates. So put some pressure on them. That's what they're there for. They work for us. Our elected officials work for us. Let's not lose sight of that. No matter what some of those people out there want to let out there, our elected officials work for us. If you want to see something like this passed, again, reach out to them. It is the bathroom access bill. It was brought to the floor by Representative Jason Silvis from Pennsylvania. I know a lot of you out there listening to this are in Pennsylvania. Make sure you reach out to him and keep pushing this stuff out there. This is, again, it's like I think back about a lot of these instances. And I mean, as an active freight broker that I was for a decade, and being in the industry as long as I have, this is a basic human rights thing. And I think, again, if you're in charge of a fleet right now, or you're a broker and that some of this stuff is happening, you got to say something. Because again, none of this stuff is ever going to change. None of this stuff is ever going to change unless we actually put some insight out there. Hold on one second, please. Oh, I'm a big fan of Black Rifle Coffee, and one day they will be a part of this whole movement out there right now. All right, let's jump over to article number 2 here today. This is one that I go back and forth on. Again, it's extremely important, and frankly, it's pathetic that this is a thing. And I've seen it. And one thing. So a little backstory about when I started doing all of this stuff on my own, there's like when it comes to courses and stuff like that, there's like a predatory practice on the internet about courses on teaching people to do this job, whether it's a broker or a carrier, and they're not exactly coming from the best places. And that is what I don't like at all, is because, again, I'm just such a firm believer that if you're going to be teaching somebody something, you have to have done it for more than like a month, and then you package it up and sell it. And then, because again, I've had a lot of these individuals reach out to me on the brokerage side who went through some of these courses, and they spent their last couple $1,000s. And, again, coming from a working class family, that's a lot of money that we're talking about. And these guys got nothing to show for it. So it's like the exposure to this is what I'm most excited about. So this article is coming from truckinginfo.com. And that's the Department of Transportation and the Department of Labor are going to address predatory truck leasing programs that are out there. Before we jump in, Nick Sanders is from St. Louis. What's up? And yes, Black Rifle Coffee is amazing, Nick Sanders. So yeah, it's like when you get out there and talk to them, we've heard a lot of horror stories about motor carriers with truck leasing agreements that take advantage of the drivers. The U.S. Department of Transportation has set up a new task force to look into this issue. Again, another bipartisan, and this is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law that was put in. We won't go into all of that stuff on it, but it's good to see that this was put up there. And then again, it is, let's see, too many American truckers are set up to fail with financing schemes or coerced into paying junk fees, said Consumer Financial Protection Bureau Director Rohit Chopra during the 30-day update on the trucking action plan back in January. To keep our economy moving, we must ensure that truckers who work hard don't face financial ruin. The Truck Leasing Task Force will cover many areas related to the leasing agreements. And I'm going to read a couple of these out here. Exploring predatory truck leasing agreements in coordination with the Department of Labor and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Evaluating common truck lease agreements and their terms, identifying and reviewing those that are potentially inequitable in the motor carrier industry, as well as focusing on transparency of those agreements. Reviewing agreements available to drayage drivers at ports, including those that involve requirements for trucks to convert to zero emissions. Okay. Studying the impact of truck leasing agreements on the net compensation of commercial motor vehicles. Let's see. Study whether the agreements properly incentivize the safe operation of the vehicles, examining truck leasing agreements and financing. Yeah. So again, I think it's a lot of this is outlined in the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was released here. And, the task force is to represent one of the important actions in the administration, talking into the improving of the trucking industry. And that was from Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. And that the American truck drivers need and deserve fair leasing, and this will work to ensure that the leasing is on board. Yeah, to me, that is predatory leasing is a massive problem. And it's like I go back and forth on a lot of this stuff. Kevin Coombs, what's up, brother? It was great to meet you out there. And yeah, they may or may not be on next week, my friends over there. But it's when it comes to predatory leasing, and this is coming from the stance of, I am a small business. I'm fucking figuring all of this out as I go. And, seeing that, like, what happens out there, and especially over the last, you look at the last 14 to 16 months. I mean, I put some stats out there a couple weeks ago that, the average new trailer for a dry van alone was up like $30,000. Truck prices are up like $60,000 to $70,000 right now. So it's like, it's not only that, but then you get locked into the interest rate. And again, I'm a firm believer that you got to know what you're signing before you sign on the dotted line. Like, please read these contracts that are out there, because there's a lot of inflated interest rates on there. And then especially, another thing for people to look into is going to be that lease purchase program that some of these trucking companies offer. And I've heard some absolute horror stories from some of this stuff where these drivers are out there doing this lease purchase on an inflated note that's out there. They're working 2 weeks at a time. And I literally saw somebody on Facebook post their pay stub after, and they made like $40 for 2 weeks worth of work due to the fees and everything else that was taken out of that. Like, that is absolutely asinine to me. That should be completely taken out and being looked at. Like, again, I'm not the biggest fan of government overreach. I'm actually anti big government when it comes to a lot of stuff, but there needs to be some oversight on some of these things, because as always, we need to keep people in business. We should never be looking and hoping that people go out of business. I absolutely despise seeing a lot of that stuff. And that is one of the main driving forces behind this show every single day is to provide actual insight for the little guy, because again, coming from a working class blue collar family, we need to protect our fellow transportation professionals. You need to work with them. You need to help them out. We can't afford to lose any trucks out there. And if you're looking to dance on anybody's grave, whether you're a driver or a carrier or a broker out there, man, I think you need to get out of this industry, because this industry is filled with hardworking men and women who are trying to leave their American dream. I'm living my American dream right now, doing what I'm doing, and I want to see people stay in business because of that. So yeah, it is. Predatory loan practicing is a massive issue. And that's the thing. It's like, if you're looking to get into trucking, it's extremely expensive. And I'm going to have a guest on here with me tomorrow, and we're going to talk about some of those things, because, like talking about having proper cash reserves, having cash up front to be able to pay for, a couple of months worth of expenses that are out there. I mean, that's key. That's key in any business. And of course, that information is not all the way out there. And furthermore, I'll put this, you got to have business credit. There's a big difference between personal credit and business credit. That's something I learned the hard way. And I don't think that they're out there really talking about a lot of this stuff, because if you go out there and you pay attention to a lot of people on social media, that they're only really talking about the easy shit. They're only talking about how much money they're making and everything else. They don't talk about the financing and what it takes to actually put your truck on the road. I mean, I was talking to a driver a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was $300,000. Think about that. $300,000 is what he leveraged before he had insurance and before he filled up his fuel tank for the first time. I mean, it's extremely startup. It's capital expensive on the front end for trucking companies out there. So I think that a good hard look at this and how we protect people. And I think it's just like with all the shit that went on during the housing crisis back in 2008, all the predatory fucking loans out there. Again, you got to have some personal responsibility for signing your name on the dotted line. But generally speaking, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Read that fine print, pull that stuff out there, make sure, because again, you got these banks are in business to make money. They're not your friend, pay attention to that shit. So again, it's good to see the Department of Labor, the Department of Transportation looking into some of this stuff, because again, we got to find and keep people in business. That article was from my friends over at truckinginfo.com. And the title of that is the DOT and the DOL, Department of Labor, to address predatory truck leasing. It'd be good to get that up and running and get that more mainstream. I wanted to save a couple of extra minutes for this last article, because this one's a couple weeks old. All right. This one absolutely made my blood boil. Because, again, and let me say this, I understand the point of clickbait as somebody who is building my media business, building my career, doing content and everything else. I completely and fully understand clickbait. I get it, because it drives stuff to your website. It drives views. Hell, I could sit up here and talk about, my shitty experiences in the industry, but that's not what this is all about. This is about education. This is about moving people forward, not talking about situations that happened 10 years ago. So this one comes, and again, this is one of my big driving forces behind doing a lot of this stuff, you guys, is because I want to see people reporting on this industry who actually know what a fucking dry van is, and not out there writing articles because they talk to one person and now think they're a fucking expert in this industry. And again, I'm no expert. I just know a lot of what not to do in freight. Okay. So this comes from Bloomberg. The title of this: robot truckers could replace 500,000 US jobs. Amid a severe driver shortage, a new study says 90% of long-haul trucking could be replaced by self-driving technology. That comes from Bloomberg.com. 90% of long-haul trucking could be replaced by self-driving technology. Think about that. How? Again, it's clickbait. It's great because it definitely got my attention. So it worked with my little hamster wheel brain. That the robots will take the most tedious, most dangerous jobs first in most things. Trucking is no exception. Okay. Now, furthermore, autonomous driving engineers are squarely focused on long-haul freight. The interstate runs with almost no complexity, save for a slow curve or an easy pass lanes. As such, those routes are some of the simpler challenges on the self-driving platform. Yeah, So, all right, I'm going to continue before I. The biggest, and then you go down to the second hurdle. The biggest hurdle may be the infrastructure. Yeah, that is our biggest fucking hurdle. Our country is not set up for this shit at all. There's some pockets out west where you could get it, out in Arizona, New Mexico, and probably West Texas. You could get away with some of this stuff because it's desolate as shit. There's not a lot out there. But again, I would love to see this out east, in some of the most highly populated areas in North America, in the United States. One solution is for trucking companies to set up transfer stations on either end. That's where the human drivers will handle the tricky first leg. So the hard stuff, which they ironically said up top that, this will take on the harder jobs. And then another station would exit and flip the freight back onto an analog truck for delivery. Such a system, according to a new study out of the University of Michigan, I'm a Badgers fan, so I already don't like this, could replace 90% of human driving is what it says. And here's what, this line is what absolutely drove me fucking up the wall. When we talked to truck drivers, literally everyone said, yeah, this part of the job could be automated. We thought that it would be a little bit more dubious. I'm going to be honest. What fucking truck driver did you talk to that said their job could be automated? Because I had an autonomous trucking company on my podcast, Coffee with the Freight Coach, a couple of weeks ago. I heard from a lot of drivers about that shit. I won't repeat that stuff on here. But yeah, I would love to know what truck drivers they actually talked to that said, yeah, we usually 90% of our jobs should be automated. Truck drivers are some of the most proud individuals out there when it comes to their career. Again, this is, I'm going to continue to go. Yes, Nick Sanders. It's very real. Again, it's on Bloomberg.com. Higher paid human drivers will always be needed and wanted. Yeah, Nick, completely agree. And then there are, however, a handful of big ifs. Shocking. I wonder why they didn't just put that up top. The autonomous system would have to figure out how to navigate in bad weather. No shit. Second, regulations in many states still haven't cleared the way for robot rigs. I know, right? Legislation. It's really weird how that's not talked about, how there's not actual laws in place for this. And then finally, the infrastructure. All the transfer stations where the cargo would pass from the caffeine-fueled analog to the algorithms. Still, if trucking companies focused on only America's Sunbelt, they could easily offset 10% of human driving. It's a stark decrease from 90% earlier in the article, but that's irrelevant, apparently. If they develop robots nationwide, but in warmer months only. So they want to talk about that. So we're only going to put the robots out there when it's fucking easy to drive in non-inclement weather. So we're going to put the humans out there to die when the weather's bad. Like, again, there's such a major miss by this autonomous movement. Like, I'm a fucking fan of some of this stuff. All right. But you're literally saying in this article, we're going to have the humans die when it's harder to drive because the trucks aren't smart enough, but we want to replace 90% of the 500,000 drivers on the road because 90% of their job could be automated. What the fuck, man? I didn't go to an Ivy League school. All right. I don't have an MBA or anything like that, but just the way that my brain operates here, you are literally, who fucking cleared this? You are literally shooting yourself in the foot. And then it's happening. But again, it's like they're trying to sell it here. It's happening already, but in a fairly limited way. Because you have a couple of autonomous runs that are done. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we're going to replace everything. And, again, it's like, here we are talking about the long haul jobs is the worst. Not only are they protracted and tedious, but they are among the lowest paid gigs. Long haul drivers on the road 300 days a year and make $47,000 a year. Short haul routes can be trickier, as such, pay better and attract more experienced drivers. Not surprisingly, the long haul workforce tends to turn over entirely every 12 months or so. At the moment, the industry is short 61,000 jobs. Okay. All right. I'm just going to leave that one out there. And then here we go. The driver shortage is so bad. American trucking companies are trying to import drivers. That's not a new thing at all. That's actually one of the great things about our industry is that people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world can come here and drive trucks and make an honest living with it. And then, it talks about lowering the age for interstate drivers from 21 to 18. So, again, here's the fear mongering part of it. So when it comes to piloting an 80,000 pound machine going 70 miles an hour, the choice might be between a robot or a teenager. Again, what in the literal fuck? It is absolutely insane to me that this was put out there. And again, like, this is my problem. All right. This is my problem is, again, this was written by somebody who, and only talk to, again, these are some very smart people out there. Like, obviously you're not a fucking engineer at the University of Michigan because you don't know what you're talking about. But to put some of that shit out there, it is absolute fear mongering. That's actually driving people away from this industry. And that's the whole point of it. All right. Weird. Why would you want drivers in an industry when you're trying to fucking replace them? That's the whole point of that shit. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that is what bugs that is what bugs me. That is what bugs me the most. Barry Wimberly. Here we go. Yeah, barely. What would you do when they're coming out of New York City and when you got to take the upper level of the GW bridge and there's a wreck and you can be sitting in traffic for 6 to 7 hours because I'm sure those trucks are going to be electric? Barry, yeah, man, that's what I was just talking about. I don't know if you caught what I was saying earlier, but in here, Barry, they only want the machines to drive when it's nice out. So they want the humans to take on when there's inclement weather and everything else still, because we can't have the machines get their feelings hurt when it's below zero or when they're shut down on I-80 in Wyoming because it is fucking a freak blizzard out there. Jason, imagine how parents in minivans are going to feel about a driverless 80,000-pound death bullet alongside of them on I-70s in the Rockies. Yeah. I mean, again, Jason, I can't disagree with that at all. I think that, to me, it's like the major misses of this article are the fact that there are a lot of shit that needs to be done first. Like, the idea is great. Okay. Like, if there's a way that we could make, because again, planes are autonomous. I mean, we all have flown, but there's still two pilots in the cockpit for that reason, in the event that the technology fails. As an early mentor in this industry told me, we deal with man, machine, and technology, and they all break down. That's why there's pilots that are in the cockpit still, to ensure in the event that there is an emergency that they can take over. David Duty, what's going on, man? This is a new name that I see in the comments today. It's amazing technology, but our infrastructure isn't at the level needed to handle cross-country moves, not to mention having a CDL, drivers that are engineers that know how to co-pilot these trucks. It has to, yeah, Jason or David, excuse me. I completely agree with that. All right. I think that some of the cool stuff that is coming out with autonomous technology and driverless technology, I think from a safety feature alone. So like the company that I had on my podcast a while back, I was talking to my friends at Gaddick, and I was very high on the safety component of it. Like, again, I want to see drivers' jobs get safer. I mean, shit, who knows? I might even bring this up later on this week, but there was like 80 some cases in Louisiana over the last 12 months about insurance companies trying to cause truck drivers accidents, So it's like looking at it from a perspective of like, this could be good from like a safety feature and everything else, but to sit here and shit all over this industry just to try and push a narrative. Again, I get it. You got shareholders, or, you probably got some VC money that you got to be protecting when it comes down to it. But sitting here and say, like, I just don't like the message. I think it's a major miss. Honestly, I'm no marketing expert or anything like that, but I know a little bit about this industry, I like to think, and prancing on the graves of some of these people isn't going to do it. And then furthermore, who the fuck is going to be able to afford this stuff? Like I have yet to see, and again, the type of person, if there is an actual autonomous go-to-market truck that is out there right now for purchase, I would love to hear about it. I would love to see how much it costs, because again, who's going to be able to pay for this stuff? I'm a fan of the little guy. I'm going to talk about this all the time. 97%, you guys, and I'm going to remember this. 97% of the trucks on the road are 20 truck or less operations. Okay? 97%. Think about that. There are a lot of things that need to happen before any of these pipe dreams that are out. I think an electric truck is going to be probably released faster than an autonomous one. I would say that because an electric truck still needs a driver and the infrastructure, it could work inside of that. Is autonomous going to be a thing? Yeah, it will be at some point. Is it in the next 2 years, 5 years? Absolutely not. There's a lot of stuff that has to, they're going to have to implode all of this stuff. Our entire infrastructure is going to have to get fucking blown up and put out there to adhere to what this is. Kevin's in the comments here saying, I deal with AI and ML. It can do a lot of amazing things, but dealing with entirely random exception management without prior data to alert it, traffic breakdowns, blowing tires, wrecks, hell, the things falling off other cars and trucks is not something it does exceptionally well. Yes, There it is. It is all perfect world scenarios with a lot of this stuff right now. And again, it will improve in time, I'm sure. I'm sure it will improve in time. The more and more data that they run, the more and more test runs that they run. But to sit here and say that we want to replace drivers, I will never fucking stand by that statement. I don't care. I will never stand by that statement at all. We need drivers. We need a lot of drivers out there. And to put that little fear-mongering line, you either have a robot or a teenager, get the fuck out of here. You know, there's a lot of experienced drivers that have been doing this for a very long time who do this the right way. And again, it's a very general statement because I understand there's bad apples on every side of this industry and every aspect of our lives. But we are here to talk about keeping people in business and protecting the little guy. Trucking with V. I don't know who you are, but it's great to see you. Good morning to you. And, you know, for me, we'll be back tomorrow, you guys. Again, 8:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Central. We're going to break down 3 articles. Shout out to my sponsors over at VHub. If you're out there, check them out right now. It's vhubapp.com. Thank you guys all so much for tuning into this. I appreciate you guys all so much. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to have a special guest for you guys. We're going to be talking about some more industry articles as always. And have a great rest of your day, you guys. We'll talk to you later. And we